Hey everybody, it's been a while. I want to do another unboxing. This is going to be a die-cast unboxing. A couple pretty interesting cars, at least I think so. First one up is a really rare piece. This is the only one I've ever seen. It's a Spark model, but it's of the 1975 Maki Formula One car. Now the interesting thing with this is that this car never actually qualified and ran in an actual Grand Prix. It attempted to make several of them and never did. Fukushida was the driver of the car for a couple of the races, and then it was also driven, I believe, by Tony Trimmer, but it never actually made the actual starting grid. Did attempt so, but never made it in. But it was a pretty slick looking car. Not sure why they couldn't find any speed with it. It was running the standard Cosworth DFE with a Hewland box, like every other car on the grid, and it looked all the part of being a decent car, but couldn't even qualify. They were sponsored by Citizen Watches, which in 1975 was when the very first of the digital watches were coming out. That's why you can see in the numbers that it looks like a digital watch face number. But that was the gist behind that. Now this is probably one of the last cars I need to complete my entire 1975 Formula One grid in 43rd scale. Now one of the other ones that I'm still looking for, which I don't know if I ever will or not, I don't know how many were ever made, but it's a Linkar 006, and it only ran and qualified for the British Grand Prix of that season. One attempt, one start, didn't do real well, and that was basically it. That, I believe, is the last car that I need to get every single car that attempted or did start a Formula One race in 1975. But you can see this one, I think, is a pretty cool little model. Got a lot of detail, oil coolers, radiator coolers, pretty detailed work on the engine, seat belts, you know, detail in there. It's got the 5-way harness. Actually looks like a 6-way harness. But yeah, it was a pretty clean looking car. I just don't know why it never had any speed. Okay, set this on the side. So now I'll open up this box first. This one actually has two of the same car because I ordered a second one in order to create the team car, which, unbeknownst to myself and probably anybody else at the time, was going to come out simultaneously with this release. So, I've been waiting for this car since it was announced and pre-ordered 2 years ago. Numerous delays. It was supposed to show up, and then it would be like, oh, delayed another 2 months, another 3 months, another 2 months, another 2 months, another 2 months. It just went on and on and on. And I was like, is this car ever going to be produced or not? Done by Rep Cars, limited edition. these are very good quality in most cases, at least all the ones that I've seen. I'm hoping that these are as well, especially for the price involved. These are not inexpensive models by any stretch of the imagination, so I'm hoping that these are in fact in great shape. Part number R18203. Replicars. They're based out of Vermont. They make extremely detailed models. I believe that this is a resin cast. It's a non-opening model. So for the price point, it's going to turn off some people because they're going to be like, that's an awful lot of cash for a model that doesn't open. And I believe I paid $240 for this plus shipping from Supercar Collectibles. Their website is supercar1.com. Got some really nice models there. So this is sold out on their site. You may be able to find it on other sites. I don't know what the availability is going to be, but this is the Certificate of Authenticity. Replicars proudly presents this 1/18 scale replica of the 1970 Chaparral Camaro, driven at Road America by Jim Hall. We hereby certify that this is authentic limited edition replica of the actual car as it raced. Signed by Mark Fothergill, President and CEO of Replicars, and Brian Fothergill, Vice President. Not sure if they're brother or father and son, but the Fothergills are who run the operation. Ooh, that's pretty. It's not going to mount that way, so let's cut this open. Well, they really got that thing wedged in there. Let's put the bottom out. Get this thing out of here so everybody can check it out. Alright. And there it is on the plinth. Really nice. Paint detail is really good. The decals look good. They're probably tampos. They're probably not actually decals. It's got the clear Lexan spoiler. Jim Hall was tied in with Lexan pretty strongly in the 60s and 70s with the Chaparral Can-Am cars, and on the Trans Am here as well. You see it's got the door tethers, keep the doors from flying open. Gas cap at the back, tow hooks, tail lights, and these were not the split bumper Rally Sport front end. They were the standard rat nose. Running on mini lights on Firestone tires. You see the exhaust cut up into the bottom of the rockers. They tucked the exhaust up into the cars to get ground clearance because these things set pretty low. Bottom of the car looks fairly well detailed. At some point, I have a screwdriver handy here, I can take it off the plinth and see what it looks like. Let's see what I have available. Pretty long screws, making sure it doesn't go anywhere. This will go into the collection with the rest of my Trans Am cars. I actually had created my own versions of these off of standard 1/18 scale Camaro models and decals from Pato's place. And we can take a look at the bottom side. So yeah, like I said, there's not a lot of detail. These are non-opening, but you can see the air ducts that came off the front spoiler. I thought that they were feeding the brakes, but they go pretty far inboard, so maybe not. And you see the exhaust detail. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So there's that. Get that out of the way. And then this one here is the reason why I have an extra now. This has got oodles and noodles. Dump this. Enough of the noodles out of the way now. Open anyway. Alright, so there's that. Get this box out of the way. Bag to open. But yeah, this model here is the team car. And this one pretty much came out of nowhere. I guess they saw how well the #1 car sold. So they're like, well, we've already got everything tooled up. We will spring for the other team car to the #1. So, here's the, wow, keep insert without destroying it. Wow, that was lucky. Okay, so this is a cert, basically says pretty much the same thing as the other one did, except that this one was driven by Ed Leslie. Ed actually won the only race that the Camaro won in 1970 with the new body style. Actually, a privateer won in an X. I want to say it was an X Penske Camaro. I don't know that for a fact, but I believe that's what I read. That it was an X Penske car, one of the old Donahue cars. And he won in the rain, I believe, one of the tracks. But there's the 2, the number 2. And you can see how they flared the fenders out. That really gives this thing a really strong Coke bottle shape. Now I'll show you the cars that I made. Alright. So these are the cars that I made years ago when I didn't believe that anyone was going to ever produce these. So I went and made my own. And these are just standard 1/18 scale Camaros. Now at the time, the only thing I could get my hands on was a split bumper RS, which wasn't correct, but it was going to be close enough for what I wanted to do. Like I said, the decals were from Pato's place in Australia. He makes some really great decals. These ones here are a little on the worn side, but they have gotten a lot better. Now you can get peel and stick decals. So yeah, the wheels were GMP Trans Am wheels, and as you can see, my fenders aren't near as flared as these ones are, but you got to do what you got to do with what you got access with. So that was basically how that all worked out. But yeah, these are pretty cool, really cool models. They'll go great with the rest of my set of Trans Am cars. That was the golden age, I guess they would call it, which was 66 to 72. The last of the mass factory support was probably the 1970 season. After 70, the only factory support was basically AMC with Penske and Donahue, which pretty much led to them just running over everybody in 71. Then those cars were turned around and sold to Roy Woods, who ran one along with George Fallmer, who won the Trans Am Championship in 1972, along with winning the Can-Am Championship the same year, filling in for Donahue when he got injured running the 917 10 that was sponsored by L&M cigarettes. And that was pretty much it. He cleaned house that year. He won both SCCA Pro Championships, and I don't think that was the only time that was ever done. Can-Am pretty much ceased to exist after 74. Trans Am pretty much ceased to exist after 72 in the way it originally was. In 73, it changed drastically, almost into a clone of the IMSA Camel GT series, when the cars got into the really wide bodies, and they were running a lot of Porsches and everything else at that point in time. Some pretty wild stuff. But anyway, that's it for this video. I said these are pretty cool cars. But yeah, they're definitely not die cast. They're fairly light. So, but anymore, this is the way it's going. I don't know with die cast as it is. how they're being made. I believe almost every die cast is made in China, and I don't know how well that's going. Now these, I'm not sure where they're actually manufactured. It says manufactured by Replicars, but I don't know if they actually make them on site in Vermont, or if these are being made in China as well, like everything else is. But that's pretty much it for this this video, and hopefully you found it entertaining. And like I said, if you're so inclined, these are possibly still available. I know they'll probably start showing up on eBay. Can't guarantee what you're going to pay. The number 2 I got from the Motorsport Collector. I believe Mint Models also showing that they have. I think they were showing both cars. I don't know what their availability still is. They could be sold out by now. I really can't tell you. Like I said, I had this car pre-ordered for 2 years. This one was pre-ordered for about 4 months. They kept dangling this carrot out there saying that this car was coming. I was like, well, when? You know, they keep changing the date over and over again. It was getting very frustrating. So the only thing I can tell you is when you order these things, especially in a pre-order, is be patient. Some stores will make you prepay, some won't. It all boils down to the individual store. So that said, you know, if you don't want to have your money tied up for years, you may want to go with a shop that will let you pre-order and hold it, but not charge you until it ships. Some bigger shops can afford to do that, and some can't. Pre-orders do get cars made, and that was one of the things that I think they were waiting on to see. Once they started getting orders and these started pre-selling out, I think that was what was the genesis of getting the second car, the team car, made. That's why I got the second car. I was going to make my own number 2 with decals I was getting from Pato. I will not have to do that now. This car, the extra number 1 I have, may come up for sale. Not looking to make a fortune on it, just get back what I paid for it plus the shipping. So once I decide on what I want to do with it, I'll let you know. Now, there were other Camaros running in the 1970 season. There was the Owens Corning cars, which were almost like a pink color. They were sponsored by Owens Corning Fiberglass, Pink Panther. Maybe I might create my own, as they call them in Australia, Code 3 off the extra car, or maybe just like I said, I may put it up for sale. I don't know yet, but it depends on if there's any interest. If anybody's interested in it, maybe I'll sell it, and if there's none, then I'll make something else out of it. Hopefully somebody, whether it's Replicars or anyone else, will do the Jerry Titus Firebird, which would be pretty much the same as this body shell, with a different hood, different front fascia, different taillights, but the greenhouse is the same. So it really wouldn't need a lot of tooling to do. Whether or not they feel there's enough of a demand or a market for it, that would be where the question would come in. So, but anyway, I'm going to close this one out, and let me know what you guys think. If you like it, you know, it'll help whether I continue to make videos or not. Nobody's interested in the videos. There's no point in me making them. So, comment, positive comments, criticism, as long as it's constructive. Yeah, I know I'm fat. Like one guy posted in some foreign language. I had to look up what the hell it meant. Gee, thanks. I know I'm fat. When you get to be 60 years old, I think you earn the right to look over hell the way you want. But anyway, ignorant people out there, just keep the comments if you make it, civil. I don't mind constructive criticism, but just to be an ass for the sake of being an ass doesn't serve or help anyway. So, thanks. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Like I said, if there's enough interest in my videos, I'll continue. If there's not, then I'll just cut it off and I'll enjoy the stuff myself. Thanks. See ya.